In this video, I'm going to explain you the importance of resume for your intern and placement journey. I'm Surya Prakash, EC graduate from NIT Warangal, currently working in Qualcomm as an associate engineer in the hardware domain. Always remember that a good resume may not guarantee selection, but a bad resume will definitely guarantee rejection. With this note, let's get started into the video. I'll keep this video in 3 parts. In the first part, I'll discuss the sections in the resume. In the second part, I'll cover some basic guidelines that you should follow while writing your resume. And also I'll give some generic tips for the hardware domain. And in the third part, I'll cover some common mistakes that you should avoid while making your resume. And I'll also share the online resources where you can make your resume. So let's get started with the first part, which is the sections to include in the resume. I'll keep my resume side by side and explain you all the sections in detail. So any resume would start with your introduction. So with your name as a first starting point, and this introduction will include personal details, which we'll see. And you can also include a short and compelling description of your career accomplishments and future ambitions. This is completely optional. Here you can see I have included a short description like electronics and tech enthusiast, as this was the resume I was applying for, which I used when I was applying for Qualcomm. So you have to add a description which is relatable to the company. As Qualcomm is an electronics company, I have added electronics and tech enthusiast, which suits the need. You can also mention qualities that set you apart from other applicants. So this is very important. Like almost many people would apply for the role, but you should be able to catch the interviewer's attention. So make sure that you mention qualities that set you apart from other applicants. So this is a introduction part, which includes your name in the bold and a basic compelling description of your about yourself. Introduction will also include some more personal details, like the name we have already mentioned, and you have to mention the contact information also. So it includes the address, just city and state would be sufficient. Your phone number and a professional email address. Don't include emails like chintu@2023. So this is unprofessional and it gives you a bad impression to the interviewer. So just a professional email address and your phone number and your area address, just the city and the state, that would be sufficient. And you can also include links to your relevant websites or portfolio website if you have, and a personalized LinkedIn URL. You can find it in the LinkedIn page. Open LinkedIn web page. There you can find go to your profile, and there will file copy URL. You can customize it accordingly. So I suggest you to keep it professional, and you can also include GitHub ID if you have any particular code or any particular projects in your GitHub. So this completes our introduction part in the resume. Next section in the resume is education section. This is the most important section. Here you can list your academic qualifications in the reverse chronological order. That means you have to start with your most recent degree. So the most recent degree of mine would be BTech in EC, and you can also mention the name of the institution, which is National Institute of Technology, Warangal, NIT Warangal. And you can also include the location, just the Warangal, that would be sufficient. And date of graduation, if you are yet to graduate, just the expected date of graduation would be sufficient. So if applicable, you can also include the relevant courses that you are applying for the job. So let's say I'm applying for Qualcomm. So the relevant courses would be the digital system design, electronic devices and circuits, and data structures in C++. So make sure you modify them according to the role you are applying for and the company you are aiming for. So you can also include the major and minor areas of study if you have, and any honors, publications or thesis that you have done. And you should also include CGPA, percentage and percentile for each of the education. So CGPA, percentage or CGPA, whatever it is you have. So make sure to include them. The name of the institute, the location and the date of graduation. So make sure to include them in the reverse chronological order in the education section. So the next section should be your position of responsibility or the work experience you have. So in the position of responsibility, you have to list all your position of responsibility which you have occupied during your college days, or any relevant or most recent position of responsibility. You have to include the name of the organization or the name of the club and your role in that organization and the dates you held the position for. So for example, I was a joint secretary in the EA and HAM club in our college at NIT Warangal. So I included the date from when I joined the club and till the date when I was applying for the interview. And you can add a brief description about the club, what it does, and just a basic explanation would be sufficient. And you can also mention about your duties, responsibilities, and significant achievements which you have done during your tenure in the club. So I have organized events like cloud computing and Git workshop and many other online quizzes as a part of the EN club in my second year. And also I mentored 250 plus juniors in the summer guidance program. And I also participated in Swadeshi Microprocess Challenge for the year 2020 and 21. So these are the things I did as a part of the EN club member. So make sure to include all the relevant things. The motivation should be to catch the interviewer's eye. So let's say, think in the point of perspective of the interviewer. So let's say I'm going through this resume and I see there are many things to be questioned on, like the cloud computing, Git workshop, and summer guidance program, Arduino and IoT, and microprocessor challenge. So make sure that interviewer is more interested in your resume. Add points which are relevant to the job description. Next, you can, as I said, you can also include your duties, responsibilities, and achievements. This will help the recruiter to understand your leadership and team management skills and the potential for growth in their organization. So team management skills is very important in any organization that you will be working. So as a position of responsibility in any club or organization ensures that you are a team worker, and it helps the recruiter understand your leadership and team management skills. So I was also a joint secretary in the EC association in the second year and an executive member in the robotics club. So the name and the position and the dates which I was part of the member, and the achievements which are relevant. So make sure to include them in the reverse chronological order. Next, if you have any work experience which I have done in the past, make sure to include it too. So this is the work experience in the reverse chronological order again, and starting with the most recent job. So if you are a fresher and let's say you have done an internship, you can also include it there. And if you have done any freelancing project, if you have worked as a freelancer, you can also include that too. So again, include your name of the organization, location, and the dates which you have worked there. Briefly list your job duties and accomplishments. Again, the most important thing about the resume is to use the action verbs. Don't use passive phrases. For example, you can say, I made a cake, but instead of telling a cake was made by me, you could directly say, I made a cake. Don't include passive phrases as they would not sound good in the resume. Always include active verbs to describe the achievements. You can always Google to find the active verbs. So go to Google and search for the active verbs to include in the resume and pick those which you think would be relevant to your resume and the work achievements you have done. So add them wherever needed in your resume. So the next section is the skills. So in this section, list all the relevant skills that you have for the job description. They include all the technical skills and the tech stacks, and also you can also include the softwares which you have learned and you have good grasp on. And you can also include the programming languages or any other related softwares which you have learned during your course. Skills play a major role in the shortlisting of the candidate. So make sure you are skilled enough and you put those skills which you have really worked on and be ready to answer the questions which the interviewer might ask. So as I was applying for Qualcomm hardware, So Verilog HTML was a must, and the C++ was needed. Embedded C Arduino, I have done many projects on this. I also had a knowledge on Python, so I was sure about my skills. And Xilinx Vivado is again a must. Arcade PSpice, we had this in our curriculum, and MATLAB, we did this as a part of summer guidance. So these are the relevant skills which I added in the resume. Make sure to add only those relevant skills which are needed. Don't unnecessarily add all those skills which might get you into trouble later. So you can also include communication skills and leadership skills. So, but make sure that you have an example with you. So let's say the interviewer asks to prove your communication skills and leadership skills. So you should be ready with an example so that the interviewer understands you are not bluffing it. And read the job description properly and add relevant skills. Next, coming to the projects. Projects is the most important thing. So list all the relevant projects which you have worked on. Again, in the reverse chronological order. Include a short summary of each project. You can also include the tools or tech stacks or the skills which you have used. And highlight any theses or publications that you have relevant to the project, and mention any awards or prizes or recognition that you have done. Let's say if you participated in a hackathon and you created a project and you are the first prize winner or second prize winner, let's say, make sure to add those awards too. So do not list projects that you have not worked on. This is very important. Don't bluff about projects, because the interviewer will understand if you're bluffing about the project. So, and that would have a bad impression on you. Know in and out about each project. Make sure preparing a list of questions that are possible and the interviewer might ask in beforehand, so that you are confident to answer them. So in the projects, I did a Verilog based train traffic control system. So again, I added the date and a short description about the project. And this was my second project, and some short descriptions about it. And there are some many projects I have did, and descriptions about them. So projects is very important. So my interview, a significant time in my interview went to the explanation of projects. So the interviewer was very interested in my project. I'm pressing upon this again and again. Make sure you include good projects to stand away from the crowd. Next, there are some optional sections which you can include if you have space. Don't keep the resume empty, as it would give a bad impression to the interviewer. So instead of keeping it empty, you can add some more sections, optional sections. So first one would be certifications, any relevant online courses or in-person courses that you have done, and include the name of the organization and the duration of the course, and add the links to your completion certificates. So these are the certificates I did during my summer vacation in the first year. So these were relevant. Don't just add anything, just add those which are relevant to the job description which you are applying for. So this was for Internet of Things and embedded systems. So this would suit the job description which I was applying for, which was digital one and Raspberry Pi and interfacing the Arduino. So just add those which are relevant. Next, awards and honors. So if you have got any awards or honors during your school time or during your college days, you can definitely mention it there, and you can add past achievements too. So I was the awardee of Institute Merit Scholarship in the first year. So I have entered it here, and I was also the second position. I secured the second position in ball badminton. So Institute annual sports, and this was first position in the International Mass Olympiad in my school. So make sure to add those in the reverse chronological order. So languages, if you still have space, you can add languages, but it's not mandatory. So mention your linguistic skills. Briefly state your level of proficiency. I can speak in 3 languages, Telugu, Hindi and English. So Telugu would be my native language, and Hindi professional level, and English also professional level. So just make sure that you include the level of proficiency in each language too, if you're including the languages section. One more important thing is the interests and hobbies. So list your non-technical hobbies and interests. See, the job is of course about the technical side, but it is also important that you have some hobbies which are non-technical too. And this helps the recruiter understand that your personality and how you would fit in the company culture. So make sure you have some good hobbies and good interest apart from the technical side. So my interview started with this. The interviewer asked me, what is my hobby? What are my hobbies? I said chess, badminton, painting, editing. And he asked me some questions about the badminton. See, the interviewer has 30 minutes. So if we are spending some time of those 30 minutes on badminton, which I can answer, so that would be an advantage to me, as it would reduce my time for technical side. If I'm spending time on something familiar, I could answer them very confidently, and this would boost my chance of getting selected. So I suggest you to add good interest and develop good hobbies and good interests. So definitely add them in your resume. So these are briefly the sections to include in the resume. So this was my resume I used during my intern preparation, and so this was the only resume I made, and this was the same resume I have applied for the Qualcomm. So you can see, for those who are asking to share my resume, here it is. In the second section, I'll cover some guidelines that you should follow while writing a good resume. First one is to start early. Don't wait until the last minute to write your resume. Writing a resume needs a lot of time to do research and proofread. It's not a one-night thing. Always remember that first draft is never the final one. So just start preparing. As the iterations go on, increase, the final resume would be much better and better. So include all the relevant information. This could be the educational details, the projects you have done, the internships, the courses you have done, or the certificates, everything else which are relevant to the job description. Choose an appropriate template. There are two types of templates, a vertical template and a horizontal template. Generally, vertical templates are the traditional ones, and make sure that you select a basic and a proper template for the resume. Don't select those ones which are having bright colors or unreadable fonts. Just make sure select a simple one and which are having plain colors or simple colors. How to write a resume that recruiters will notice. When writing your resume, it is very important to pay attention to the words that you are constructing. This will make your resume more coherent and readable. A good way to start is by using action verbs. Action verbs are the verbs which describes the activity in a specific and a measurable way. It is also helpful to include quantifiable results. Quantifiable results are the numbers and the data which grabs the interviewer's attention and explains about the impact of your work. Like I was mentioning in my resume, I have guided 250 plus juniors in the summer guidance program. So make sure that you include a measurable way of your work that you have done. Proofread carefully. It's very important that there are no grammatical errors in the resume. Check again and again, because it's very important that your resume should look professional. There should not be any grammatical mistakes. If there are any, it shows your negligence and it might have a negative impact on your selection. So make sure that you read line by line many times and also give it to your friends or seniors, ask them to proof check and get a confirmation from them and get some advices from them too. Coming to the tips for the hardware domain, first important thing I want you to focus is on the projects. Projects are the important part in your resume and can help you shortlisted for the job. Mention good hardware projects like IoT, Arduino, microcontroller based, RFID automation, network based projects, automation with AI and ML, etc. Mention software skills like Verilog, C, C++, MATLAB, OrCAD Capture, PSpice. For software profile, skills like C++, DBMS, Java, web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, etc. would be sufficient. If you have worked on the fields like AML, data science, cloud computing, and big data analytics, make sure to include them too. I suggest you to have a major project and one minor project. Make sure to include 2 to 3 good projects in your resume. Don't keep them very trivial. Ensure that they are of good standard. I also suggest you to participate in competitions and workshops. In addition to projects, you can also list any hardware related competitions or workshops that you have participated in your college. Even if you didn't complete the projects, that's fine. It's worth mentioning. If possible, try to mentor during the workshops related to electronics and other fields. For the software profile, if you have any competitive coding rank, make sure to include it too. Just ensure that you are not bluffing about the projects, because the interviewer will catch you and it will definitely give a negative impact on your performance. The next section is common mistakes that you should avoid while making your resume. Don't make the resumes very lengthy. Impactfulness is not same as length. You can keep the resume very long, but all of it may be shit. No one cares. A long resume does not necessarily mean it is more impactful. In fact, long resume can be overwhelming and difficult to read. A concise resume, on the other hand, is easier to read and has a strong impression on the interviewer or hiring managers. Don't create lengthy resumes. One-page resume is ideal for most job seekers. If you have a lot of experience, then only go for more than 1 pages. Never give too many personal details. Your resume should only include your contact information, such as your phone number and the email address, which is again professional. Try to avoid including your date of birth, marital status, and religious affiliations in the resume. This information is not relevant to the job which you are applying for, and this could be used to discriminate against you. Coming to the educational details, make sure to include the correct CGPAs or the percentages for the relevant courses. Don't bluff about grades to the interviewers. Only mention those courses and the things which are very sure about, because you might be asked questions related to them. Employers might ask for the relevant details about anything which is included in the resume. So be prepared. Provide hyperlinks to your LinkedIn profile or the GitHub profile if you are adding it. If you have any other coding platforms, you can add links for them too. Always remember to use reverse chronological order throughout your resume. Keep updating your resume as you gain new skills or you do new internships or projects or any other relevant experience. Start using keywords. Use keywords throughout your resume. This will help your resume get noticed by application tracking systems, ATS. In short, keep your resume concise and to the point, like I said earlier. Use active verbs and strong action verbs. This will make your resume more engaging and persuasive. Tailor your resume for the job you are applying for. Don't blindly use the same resume for each and every company. Understand the needs of the company and the job description you are applying for, and tailor the resume accordingly. Highlight the skills and experiences that are relevant to the job description and the position you are applying for. In the end, the key is to keep it simple and concise. Be honest and accurate on your resume. Proofread your resume carefully before submitting. Use a professional font and format. Select a professional template. Get feedback from others on your resume and make necessary changes. And remember to complete the sentences by a full stop wherever needed. Make sure there are no grammatical errors in the resume. So this brings us to the last part of the video. There are many online platforms available to make your resume. Here are the best ones. First one would be the Novo resume. I have used the Novo resume to make my resume, which I have shown before. The next one would be Overleaf, and you can also make your resume in the Canva. I suggest to use Novo resume. There are many templates. Some of them are paid and some of them are free. You can use the free ones. Select a basic one and not the one which is having a lot of colors or which is unprofessional. Select a proper decent template and start making your resume. Always remember, just start it. The first resume is never the final one. I wish you all the best. Thanks for watching this video. If you have found this video helpful, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Thank you. See you in next video.